Navigating a negative mind. How do you do it? Are there any tips or hacks to do it? And is it possible to never be negative? That's what I'm thinking about on this episode, and as always, it's inspired by my own life. So let's go get into it and see how you really do navigate a negative mind. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I'm talking about a negative mind and how to navigate it. As always, this comes from my personal life, and I kind of ended up in a bit of a stupor the last week, and that's kind of what inspired this episode. Because I think everybody goes through those stupors, no matter how set you are in life, no matter your position in life. There's always going to be the peaks and the troughs, and learning how to cope with them, how to manage them, and even just being aware of them can have a massive impact on your day-to-day life, your mindset, and just how you pursue things in general. So today I'm spending some time thinking about that. I'm going to share some of my tips and tricks that I use to kind of get me out of a negative headspace. And hopefully, because I'm just coming out of it, or maybe even still coming out of it, those tips, tricks, and hacks are going to be fresh, and they're going to be kind of in the forefront of my mind of how I just got myself out of feeling rather run down. To give you some context, like I potentially broke my baby toe the other day, running and playing hide and seek with my daughter. I kicked the end of the kitchen door, and yeah, my baby toe moved and the door didn't. So that was fun, which I kind of laughed about more than anything. But then I had this spell of like throwing up and just really not good stuff that kind of same evening, and it just knocked me for 10. And I felt low, I felt like I had no energy, I felt like nobody was there for me in the way that I wanted them to be there for me. And it just left me feeling incredibly negative. And there's a lot to unpack there, so I'll try to kind of unpack all of it. But the main thing of like having nobody there for you in that moment when you're feeling vulnerable, that was probably the biggest kicker to me. Simply because when you're feeling low, you just want somebody else to kind of pick up the slack a little bit. But not everybody's got that somebody else to pick up the slack for them. And that is the harsh reality for a lot of people. It is for me. So once I'm done throwing up and everything else, guess who's got to clean up after that? There's no, go lay down, feel better, da-da-da-da-da. You got to sort yourself out. You got to clean up your mess, no matter how you feel about it. And that translates to so many other aspects in life. It may not be projectile vomiting, but it can feel like it. Like some parts of your life can drain you so much, take so much of your soul, that it feels like you've got nothing left to give, but there's still a mess to be cleaned up after if you want to continue and go about your life and put that behind you. Now, yeah, I could have left the mess behind, but eventually I'll have had to go back to it and clean it up, and it's probably going to be worse at that point. Slight tangent, but I kind of have that same mentality towards dishes. If you do your dishes straight after your meal, they're not that hard to clean. If you do them the next day, they're a lot harder to clean. Same with your problems, same with the negative mindset and things like that. If you don't deal with it as soon as you possibly can, the problem normally gets worse. And then it's more effort to clean up and da-da-da-da-da. So yeah, while it wouldn't have been nice to clean up everything and all of that, by doing it, it was the path of least resistance. And sometimes that's the kind of little movements that you're like, cool, I can put this behind me. I've cleaned the mess up. I'm not reminded of it. Like, if I'd have smelt sick after that, I'd have probably been sick again. So it wouldn't have helped in any means. So just kind of riding it out and cleaning up in the moment there, it helped me kind of put that past me, at least physically. Like mentally, I was still drained for a couple of days after that, and what I wanted to recharge and what I needed to recharge were a couple of different things. Like obviously one is just somebody to chill with, somebody to kind of share the load and kind of let you vent a little bit and just kind of feel rubbish. Like sometimes you just have to feel it. If like in that scenario, I was physically drained. Like I probably lost about 2 to 3 days worth of food, and I felt absolutely horrendous. Like nobody could have dug me out of that hole. Like I just needed to sit there. I deserved to sit there and feel rubbish for a little bit. And that is probably the first part of kind of clearing that negative mindset or starting to navigate it, is accepting it. Like accept why you feel rubbish. If it is because of physical health or mental health or work stressing you out or life's pushing you too much, like accept it, acknowledge it. Like it's okay to feel overwhelmed and exhausted now and then. I'm probably the worst for like pushing my own needs and my own kind of feelings to one side and just cracking on with things because things need to get done. But you do need to take that time to feel them and acknowledge them. And once you do that, you can start figuring out what's going to make you feel better. I.e., once I realized I felt drained and I just wanted somebody to sit with me in the poop, I knew what I had to pursue. And don't get me wrong, like I didn't necessarily get it at the time, but life happens and you find other ways. But eventually, like just knowing that there are things that you can do to get you out of that headspace tends to help. Like again, it's not only one thing that will get you out of that headspace. It's something that I have a lot more control over that isn't kind of social interaction is environment. Like the other week, it wasn't this instant, but I was just feeling a bit not negative, but just neutral, just drained and just a bit flat. So I took my daughter for a kind of day out, went around a big park, a lake, and just spent the day just absolutely chilling in nature. And it was amazing. Like it recharged me in a way that social interaction wouldn't have. And again, there's more than one way to fix these problems. So if you don't have a big social circle, or if you don't have the social interactions that you want, there are other ways that you can kind of recharge that battery. There's other things that you will enjoy and other things that you do that will kind of help you feel a little bit reinvigorated. Like again, I go from all ends of the spectrum. So I can go from chilling in nature and being amongst the trees and just immersed in all of nature to being fully immersed in a game. Like they they recharge different batteries. Like for me, if I go on to a bit of gaming, it ends up being a bit of disassociation, a bit of like, oh yeah, you can control this, a little bit of adventure, and the it charges up a different aspect of that kind of mental battery. If anything, it helps you disconnect a lot more and just kind of same in sense of like a series and that it helps you disassociate from your own life and just kind of focus on somebody else's problems or focus on a little mission in a game or whatever it is. But as with all of these things, it's about how long you spend there. So like, it's alright to sit in the poop. It's alright to escape into a game. It's alright to escape into nature. It's alright to escape into your own little bubble or will escape and do some writing or some painting or whatever it is. But eventually you have to come out of that hole again. Like if you sit in that pit, nobody's gonna come and save you, unfortunately. Like I have this mentality in life that you came into the world alone and you'll leave it alone. Most of life you'll walk alone. So get comfortable with it. And eventually you'll find people that will walk with you through short periods of your life or whatever else. But again, they're not obligated to walk your path with you. They're on their own path. So having that kind of that grounding thought of appreciate people while they're in your life and kind of enjoy their company, but understand inevitably it is you on your grind. There is only one person that is going to be with you 365, 24/7, and that is you. So look at what that person needs. Understand that person more than anything else because they're the person that matters to you more than anything. And it's very rare that you'll find somebody that will put your needs above theirs. So focus on putting your needs first. Once you've done that, then you can save other people, you can help other people. But if you're not in a good place, it's very hard to help other people get into a good place. So take that time to kind of realize where you are. Realize if you are in the pit, be there temporary, but don't kind of wallow in it. Understand what you need to get out of it. Is it a little bit of downtime? Is it a bit of nature? Is it a bit of social interaction, or whatever it may be? Do that. If it works, sweet. Hopefully you're on your way out of that negativity. If it don't, go back to the drawing board. What else is going to help you improve that negative thought or kind of steer out of that negative mindset? Maybe you need to catch up with an old friend. Maybe there is somebody that will pull you out of it if you just ask them for the help. But do something about it. That first point is acceptance. That's fine. Accept the problem. The second point is do something about it. Whether it be go for a walk, play a game, talk to a friend, listen to some music, do something about it. That's the easiest way to get out of that negative mindset, is do something. If you do nothing, you'll just sit with those thoughts and they'll consume you. So allow yourself to escape into something, not from the negativity. It's not a case of not dealing with the negativity. That's why the first part is acceptance. First, you've got to accept that negativity. You've got to accept whatever it is that is grinding you. Then escape for a little bit, just so you can relax. When you're out of breath, it's hard to do something. It's hard to go running again or whatever else. Give yourself that time to catch your mental breath. Once you've caught your breath mentally, you'll be able to run again and push, but don't try too soon and don't leave it too long. But you'll learn it slowly. It's almost like if you was driving around, navigating the roads and that, right? A sat-nav will send you one way. So if you always rely on the sat-nav, you'll probably get to your destination, yeah. But it's not necessarily going to be the quickest or easiest way. The more times you take that journey, the more shortcuts you'll learn and the more varying routes you'll find. Navigating your way through kind of mental struggles, that same thing. Like, it's not always going to be the same diversion that works or the same shortcut that works to kind of get you out of that negative headspace. Sometimes you're going to have to go right where you usually go left. That's fine. It depends on the problem that you're facing. But the more aware you are of it, the more kind of routes that you explore around the kind of edges of your usual kind of path, the more ways you'll find to kind of divert, and the easier it will become. Whereas if you always rely on the sat-nav, which in this case would be somebody else kind of to drag you out of the mental stupor or the bad place in life, if you always rely on that outward source for your direction, when that kind of source is clogged up or there's no kind of access there or whatever else, I'm finding it hard to find a good kind of way to, a good analogy, but yeah. But once that path gets clogged up or there's a traffic jam or whatever else, it's easier for you to find another route on your own than it is to be like, okay, well, sat-nav, tell me another way. And it's just telling you to keep sitting in the traffic and go the slow way. But for some of us, there are shortcuts. If you're on a motorbike compared to a car, your travel options are completely different. Some people have that streamlined mentality where they can just kind of go through life fast-paced and don't really worry about anything else. Some people sit in traffic. Some people always avoid bus lanes and never adjust their path in that sense. But adjusting your path means that you'll see more things, you'll do more things, you'll meet different people, you'll have a whole different experience, and you won't always sit in the poop as long as everybody else. So learn those tricks when it comes to navigating your own mindset. Learn what it is that you can escape into, what gives you that time to kind of zoom out from yourself and think about your actions, other people's actions, where you want to go in life, how you've been doing in life. Just whatever it is that gives you that time to catch your mental breath, make note of it. But there'll be a few things like that, so make note of a few of them. And then use them as mental tools. Use them as and when you need to kind of mentally decompress. Sometimes it will be a night out that you need to kind of socialize and recharge. Sometimes it might be a night in a takeaway in a movie. Whatever it may be, there'll be something that you can do to kind of nudge your way out of the negativity. It might not, well, it's very rarely going to be a whole kind of uprooted and straight from down in the dumps negative mindset to a on cloud nine positive mindset. It will happen maybe occasionally, but more often than not, it's going to be a slow burn. It's going to be the small actions that slowly bring you out of that negative mindset, the little kind of moments of catching your breath, and then things that kind of make you feel good, that recharge your battery a little bit by little bit, whether it be good food, good music, whatever. These things, they slowly add up and snowball, and eventually you'll be out of that negative mindset. But if you're not aware of them, next time you end up in that negative mindset, you'll be like, damn it, how do I get out of this? So make note of them. Think back to the past instances in your life where you've kind of felt rubbish or felt down or felt negative, and how you got out of it. Make note of those times, because the more aware you are of them, the more easily utilized they're going to be. And then the more you can apply them to your life to make your path easier. The easier your path, more than likely the less times you're going to feel negative. I don't ever think it's possible to never feel negativity in the mindset. I think one way or another it's always going to drop at some point. That's just life. Like, there's always going to be ups and downs, and they're needed for different reasons. But it's not to say that you can't navigate them better so they impact your life less. So be conscious of them and take the time to actually think about how you're navigating your mindset. Don't just stumble through life. Don't let somebody else kind of lead your mind. It's your mind. And if that person ever leaves this face of the earth, you'll be lost without them. I know it's a sad thought, but it is a real reality. I say to a lot of people in my own life, like, what would you do if I got hit by a bus? If you always come to me for help and eventually I'm not here, what are you going to do then? So the best thing you can do is to learn to help yourself. Not just let somebody else help you, but do the work yourself. If they are helping you, ask them how they're doing it. Whether it be physically or financially or mentally, pay attention. Because there will come a time where they're not there. And then you'll wish you paid attention. So pay attention in the moment. I think I'm going to wrap the episode up there. The seed for this episode is going to be, do something small that makes you feel good. Whatever it may be. It might be a walk with some music. It might be going swimming that you haven't done in years. It might be going to the movies and whatever. Whatever it may be, do something small that makes you feel good and make note of it. So if you're in a negative mindset now, it'll hopefully help you get out of it. But if you're not in a negative mindset, it's there for if you ever do get in one, and you know that you've got something to fall back on as a way to make you feel a little bit better and to cushion that kind of blow of life. And hopefully that will help in those kind of down times. And eventually you do that enough, you'll have a whole kind of itinerary of things that you can do when you feel down that will dig you out of that hole fairly quickly. And eventually you'll do it so many times you won't even need the list. You'll just know, negative mindset, cool, I'm going to go do this. And hopefully life gets a little bit easier. But that's it for this episode. All the best, and I'll catch you in the next one. Please like, subscribe and follow if you've got this far. It does mean a lot and it will help this channel go a lot further. But again, all the best, and I'll catch you in the next one.